started on our rusk, our almond rusk. And in this bowl, I have pre-measured a ½ teaspoon of baking powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a ½ cup soft butter, 1 cup of sugar, 2 eggs, 1/2 teaspoon of almond extract, a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and a ½ cup of slivered almonds. So we're going to dump that out. And when you're Swedish baking, it all has eggs, butter, flour, sugar. So you can just move from one recipe to the next. We're going to dump that into our mixing bowl. Put our paddle back on. Okay, so as soon as this is mixed really well, got a little butter chunk in there, yeah. Okay. Then we are going to add 2 cups of flour. And I don't use any kind of special flour. I don't use bread flour or baking flour, just white flour. I do, however, only use real butter and pure extracts. I don't use it. Gets a little cantankerous and throws food back at you. So I do believe that it makes a difference when you use, if you use real butter versus like margarine, something like that. Yeah, I think we're done with that. Okay. So the rusk, they get made into 2 fairly skinny logs. If you want your pieces to be kind of small. The pieces that we're going to see that I've pre-made are rather large because I made the logs kind of short and fat instead of long and skinny. So divide this in half. Again, this has more of a brown color to it. It would be very white if I used regular white sugar. It's brown because I've used raw sugar. And it really doesn't, I've not noticed that it really affected the taste. And this gets baked for 20 minutes. We'll just check that. Yep, 30 minutes. And then we take it out and we let it cool for 10 minutes. We slice it, lay the slices over on the side, and we put it back in the oven at a reduced heat of 300 for another 20 minutes. So we're going to put this in the baker. Oh! Now let's get this out of our way. Like that. And we have some bread dough that's ready to play with. And bread dough is quite fun to play with, actually. And we're going to divide this into 4ths. Again, this is the same recipe for tea ring. So if I was divided into 1/3s, I'd get 3 large, 4 medium, or I can divide this into 6 and get 6 small. But we're going to divide it into 4ths for cardamom braids. So we take 1/4. The more you play with the dough, the more you break the yeast bubbles. And the dough gets stiff and tough and harder to work with. So you don't want to play with the dough more than you have to. And then it doesn't take near as long for it to rise the second time. So we're going to open these up. If you think it's too sticky, it's sticking to your board. You can add a little flour. You can spray it with your pan spray. Okay, this is a mixture of 3/4 cup of sugar and 1 ounce of cardamom. And I get my cardamom and my pearl sugar from Scott's Hometown Foods here in Lindsborg. They have all the Swedish supplies, any kind of baking ingredients that you're going to need, they have them. So that's the easiest place for me to get them. Then you simply load these little, it's probably a couple tablespoons. This one needs to be mushed out a little bit. And we're going to roll these up. And it creates a pocket. The sugar and the cardamom kind of creates a pocket, so you really have to just kind of knead it in. It doesn't want to necessarily stay together because of the sugar. It's cooperating rather nicely this morning. So, what we picked up there. Let's see if I can do this. They say if you start in the middle, the braid is more even. If you start at one end and go to the end, then the braid doesn't stay as even. So you can actually get to 2 of these on a sheet. But we would let that rise to double in size. We're going to mix our egg up here a little bit. And you brush it with egg. And sprinkle on pearl sugars. And this takes the place of frosting. And again, I tend to be rather generous with the pearl sugars. I like sugar. Okay, so we would let that double in size. And then we would put it in the oven, bake it. 350, probably 20-30 minutes, but until it has just a nice golden brown. And now we can just view some of the items that are all finished and ready to eat. So here we have Kringler. And you can see we've just slid it right onto the serving platter, cut it. Typically this is how it's cut, but you can cut it any shape or size you want. Here we have cardamom braid, and you can see where the cinnamon and the cardamom is that we put when we rolled it up. Again, slice it as thick or thin as you'd like. This is almond rusk. These are a teeth breaker. So these were made to Dunkin' coffee, and that is very traditional in Sweden and here for Swedish Americans, is you have rusk with your coffee. Dip them before you bite into them. This is just to show you can make dinner rolls out of the same sweet roll dough. So, varsågod is what we would say in Sweden. Welcome to our table. Varsågod, a lot of times people think that means thank you or you're welcome. In a sense, it does mean welcome, but when I say varsågod, that means the table is ready and you're welcome to eat.